Hey, ladies and gentlemen,
Wait.
welcome.
My bad. My
Yeah,
bad.
you're
My
good.
bad. My
You're right.
bad. Are you good now?
Got a brother all hyped up.
You live now. You be as hype as you want to be.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Data Beat $8 a podcast, aka the Black Awareness Rally of Podcasts. You could be rocking with anybody else in the world right now, but you are here with us. And for that, we do appreciate you. It's your man, Pledge, alongside my main man, B.
Holla. Yeah.
And we welcome all of you guys to the discussion. B, what's been going on, brother?
Hey man, just out here trying to take the small victories and not stress the stuff that's gonna put me in the hospital with anxiety attacks. Because Lord knows you got an ample amount of opportunity to do both.
No doubt about it.
About
No
you?
doubt about it. Things are going well, man. Just maintaining. It's that busy time of the year. Where we try to get boss, through the hoop. But that's winding down. But things are going well. So continuing
Yeah.
to make progress.
True. All right, man. Super Bowl predictions? Any of that kind of stuff?
I'm hoping for a good game, man.
Just a good
Honestly,
game.
I didn't for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get first through the New Orleans Saints, who they struggled with, and then to get through the Packers. For them to be here is, I don't want to say it's a victory within itself,
Mm-hmm.
especially for a team that hadn't made the playoffs in the last few years. But
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely, I want to say, I mean, it's kind of a shock to me that they're here. So now that they are here, I don't think it's time to bet against them now. So I'm hoping for a good game. But the way the Chiefs played last week, man, they look like they could be unstoppable at times. So
Listen, man. I just feel bad for them that they had to run up against that. Honestly, in my heart, I can't pick against the Chiefs. It just don't seem like it make that much sense. But
Correct.
Sports is sports, though. You still got to get out there, line up, and play the game. So
They still have to go against Tom Brady, though. Like, forget going against the Buccaneers. It's another thing to go against Tom Brady. And I think what he's shown us so far in the playoffs is like,
age ain't nothing but a number. Nothing but a number. You know what I mean?
So he's still proven to be the GOAT with how he's playing. And I don't know, it would definitely be GOAT-like fashion for him to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in one season and win the Super Bowl. If he does that, there's like no argument. There's no
Can't we end it now because he already made the joint by itself? I mean, not by itself, but
that's it right now. He's still the GOAT.
the
But if
feat
he does,
itself.
if he wins next Sunday, don't even have a list.
Don't even have a list. It's just him and
It's just
a
him
bunch of
and
people that do
God.
other stuff.
It's just him and God. That's it.
Just him and a bunch of people that do different stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, but
All right.
I'm hoping the Bucks can be victorious. I think it'd be a good thing for the city. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm a diehard Buck fan because I'm not, never have been. But
Yeah.
I think it'd be good for the people of the city. So.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't know who I want to win. I'm just kind of torn because, like you're saying, neither one of those teams are my teams, and I just don't know who I want to win based on my usual pick the black man theory. Because the Bucks have a historic black coaching staff, historically black, and then Patrick Mahomes is black-ish. So I don't know who. And then you got Eric Bieniemy is a black man. Like,
yeah,
he's just been in the press a lot.
Patrick Mahomes, though, man.
Huh?
I said we claiming Patrick Mahomes. He could go down. He might be creeping up on GOAT status at some point. So
yeah, if you do back to back, starting that dynastic trend, and you're gonna have to put some respect on his name too. So I don't know. But anyway, we'll see what happens. All
the
right, man.
show.
Let's do it. Let's do. Kick it off.
Let's get into it. So,
Yeah.
where do you want to start first with the Black Awareness Rally?
Uh, we can go Cicely Tyson. Just give her that respect.
No doubt about it. Yeah,
The
well,
Black Awareness
my
pageant.
Miss Black Awareness pageant winner this week is none other than the beautiful Miss Cicely Tyson, who unfortunately died at the age of 96 earlier this week. She was a true pioneer for Black women in the film industry, and she's highly decorated. Was always held in high esteem by all of her colleagues and contemporaries.
Mm-hmm.
And and I just kind of learned this week is that she turned down a lot of roles because she didn't feel like they put Black women in a good light. So she was very selective
Really?
on the roles that she took, to make sure that she was representing herself and her fellow Black women well.
So was that like after she became Cicely Tyson? You mean like Cicely
No,
Tyson? And
from what I
then,
read, that was like all along. Like that's
so you telling me you have a choice to be out here cooning or not from the very start? Interesting perspective, brother.
What
It
a
took a
setup
black woman
question
again to
by
show
you.
us the truth.
What a setup question by you. Well done. By the way.
Yes, yes. I've been known to provoke the thinking of the peoples.
So shout out to Miss Cicely Tyson.
As always, I ain't got my stuff written down, but I got a site to go to. So, Shaniqua Davis founded Noirify. You know what? Do I really want to do this? No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because I didn't do research on it. I was going to tell everybody about this the black hair experience here in Atlanta, Georgia, and it centers around black women's hair through history, and it's a museum. But I don't know if the founder was a woman, so I don't want to mix those two up. But definitely know Shaniqua Davis is a young lady, and she's the founder of Noirify. It's to link black professionals, with high growth companies. And so Shaniqua Davis, after being laid off from her job in 2016 with few prospects and leads, decided to take matters into her own hands, and she invented the company to link people with the skills with the folks that can pay the bills. So,
Nice.
yes, Wally, you got black hair.
The ultimate plug.
That is the ultimate plug. Speaking of which, we did not do the sponsors. Shout out to International Cuts, Mr. Waleed McFarland, the barber extraordinaire, getting all the black people's hair situated, looking fine and fair. I just made it up. You can have that. Good thing I recorded because I don't remember what I said. McDowell's, the mighty fine folks on Queens Boulevard in New York, Queens, New York to be exact. You think they open yet? Think they got some of that PPP money?
Still popping, man.
Yeah?
Popping, yeah.
But they letting people sit in now, or they still doing the curbside? Because it's real cold right now.
They're not letting people sit in.
They ain't letting nobody sit in? All right, cool. Well, drive-through still open. Might not get your food, but you can drive through. Also, the wonderful, venerable, amazing, what's the group name again?
Sexual Chocolate.
Sexual Chocolate. My bad. I'm just off my game. I feel like we ain't named out the sponsors in like 3 weeks.
Nah, we haven't.
Yeah, that's trippy. Well, yeah, shout out to the sponsors. And thanks, Waleed, for reminding us about who the sponsors are. All right, man, let's get to it. So shout out to Shaniqua Davis and Noirify. Guys, check that app out. Again, it's putting people with the skills together with the people that can pay the bills. So let's get to it. How about you? Where we going next?
For my sports and entertainment moment, I want to give a shout out to UCLA gymnast Miss Nia Dennis.
Okay.
For her flow routine. I'm not sure if you see it.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but I certainly did hear about it from quite a few outlets.
Oh yeah. So, I think I'm not sure if it's the same lady, but I know there was somebody from UCLA whose routine went viral last year.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a lot of dance moves. I mean, and this one she was doing everything. I mean, she was at one point she was crip walking to Dr. Dre. I mean, it was entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful. And she did her thing as a gymnastics professional. So like it was just a combination of her, and she called it an ode to black culture.
Y'all good back there? On the
So
show, huh? All right. Let
so
me
yeah,
mute
so
my mic.
definitely want to give a shout out to Miss Nia Dennis for her routine that's going viral. It shows that I think it's a beautiful thing where we can be ourselves and express ourselves, but still be dominant in whatever arena that we enter. Even though in the gymnastics realm, it's not an industry that we're heavily involved in, but
True.
somehow, some way, we still seem to rise to the top
Like jumping in
of the
fishing
gymnastic. What's that?
competitions. Like jumping in fishing
Yes.
competitions and just winning immediately,
Yes. So,
instantly.
and I'm sorry, the young lady who's won gold the last couple of years, her
Simone
name
Biles.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
like her, and then the couple of years before the Olympics before her, we had another,
Gabrielle Douglas.
yeah, Gabrielle Douglas. So I mean,
Only reason I
it's
know is because I've had to rely on their documentary, their biopics as a teaching resource several times in the last 5 years. So
so yeah. So I mean, shout out to these young ladies who are involved in a sport that we aren't traditionally heavily involved in, but they have dominated and really, really taken over. So shout out to them and who are doing it, not only doing it in a fantastic way, but doing it in a way that's expressive
mm-hmm.
and true to how they feel and true to who they are culture wise. So it's a beautiful thing.
True that, true that, true to that. Uh, I be coming through mono B, coming through on both speakers trippy. Wally, I don't know what to tell you about that. Actually, I do. I see it now. Thanks for mentioning that. Let me check the settings on that real quick. Test, test, test. Yeah, I am coming in mono. Let me fix that real quick. My bad, Wally. Thanks for shouting that out. Is that what it pissed me off? Testing, testing, testing. Uh, test, 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 test. Hold on, real quick, real quick. Hey, players, go ahead and do your do the next bit. I'm gonna come in with my two while I fix his mic.
Yes, my next one is going to be community moment of the week, and kind of in the same breath of mentioning Miss Cicely Tyson. I want to give a shout out to Arizona State, who named
Test,
their
test,
film
test.
school after Sidney Poitier.
Wow.
He in it's ironic because Arizona was a state where he in 1963 where he filmed Lilies in the Field, which was the first time a film that won an Oscar was led by a black man. So definitely want to give a shout out to Arizona State. They feel like this is a place of inclusion and not exclusions. That's why the reason why they named the film school after him. So it's good for that brother to get his rightful
Test,
place
test,
of
test.
a film icon to raise other future film icons. So
We
shout
calling
out
that
to
progressive or liberal or leftist to do stuff like that? What would the blue bloods consider that move?
the right thing to do.
Yee.
That's what I mean. That's what I say about it. I can't speak for them, but I think it's definitely the right thing to do. So
Yeah, it is the right thing to do. Yeah. In conjunction with that, we've I was gonna talk about Danielle Lee, the African American woman that was hired to help the NBA rescue their ratings that apparently took a plummet due to us fighting for our rights. Who knew that fighting for your rights would make people stop enjoying the product you put on the floor? And apparently, doing the right thing isn't appreciated by the good old boy network and its supporters. I thought it was just because they didn't have any more white NBA stars, but the white fan base is pissed off about us using the platform. So shout out to Danielle Lee and the NBA for coming together to help her and the NBA restore the ratings that the NBA apparently lost due to protests. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I've heard a little like snippets here and there about the ratings drop, and I don't know if it's. I'm pretty sure there was some correlation between that and them aligning themselves with the Black Lives Matter movement.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm interested to know that was it, the bubble, was it the season, being ending at a different, time and date than it normally was. Like this year, I think it ended in October as opposed to July, like it normally does.
Right.
I know that viewership early part of the season doesn't pick up until after football season. So I don't know. I guess it's just wishful thinking and me being optimistic that the viewership is not taking a hit because of their alignment. But if the numbers say it's true, can't argue with the numbers. So,
what's the cat that does the fill in for Colin Cowherd when he takes a break from the show on the radio show? Huh?
Doug Gottlieb.
Yeah, Doug Gottlieb swore up and down it was because of the social justice initiatives, and that he just swore it was a bad idea to use the platform the way that we did or they did. And that was just one of those things I was like, you know what? He thinks he's just reporting the stats. I just couldn't help feeling like there was some spin involved. But
one thing I can say for Doug is that I don't often agree with him, but he seems to just kind of be a straight shooter, and that be that. So
yeah.
But as I said, I don't often agree with him though. So
I mean, look, man, I don't know who he was talking to, where he got his data from, but he was just convinced that white people don't want to see that stuff.
So. I think the interesting position that Doug is in is Doug. He has a heavy ear in what's going on in basketball, but he also has a heavy ear of what's going on in in his circles of
whiteness.
Of whiteness, and I think that he would be somebody who would kind of share, hey, I know what's going on because I have a lot of contacts in the NBA and a lot of contacts with basketball, but I'm also heavily enthralled
out here in these streets.
Yeah, in these streets. So I can give you the straight, honest opinion of how my folks feel about this situation. So
yeah, I'm pissed at this audio setup. I don't know what the issue is. Well, anyway, I know I can fix it in post. All right. Yeah, man. Sorry about that, Wiley. We're just gonna have to suffer through it to the recording. But that's pretty much that. Let's do. Did we do all three sections?
Yes, we did.
All right, let's run it. We're gonna have a comparatively short show this week, but hopefully people are interested in it. Wally, I see you. Yeah, things do go up and down all the time. But in this age of advanced metrics and hyper analytics, any fluctuation that's more than 0.5% triggers the blue bloods. So just made me really happy with this GameStop 1,300% uptick in value. I just thought that was really fun. But that's another show. Me and my democratization proclivities. Let's go. Let's get to it. As promised last week, we said we would talk more about what it was like to be the husband or boyfriend male spouse of a woman, lady, high earner, making more money than you, and we wanted to try to. Guess it would this be lighthearted compared to other stuff? I don't know. I don't know how to do this. I'm gonna try to do this. So that's where the question comes from. It was stemmed from a Facebook comment I saw about one of my friends and friends of the show saying it must be really hard to be the husband of Kamala Harris, and he doesn't believe many men could be in that position. So, first topic will be: are women really earning more money than men in the workplace? What you got, Pledge? What you think?
Well, I actually took a deep dive and looked into some statistical facts and figures on the subject. And
Some gusto.
real talk, though, the gap is narrowing between the amount of money that women, both, just for this sake, let's just say women, white women and black women, the gap is narrowing between the amount of money that women are making in reference to men, in both I just say uneducated. I means people without college degrees, just
right,
and people who have college degrees. Right now, black men are making more than black women. As I said, the gap is narrowing.
Yes.
Black women are being educated at a higher rate than black men as far as college degrees, and especially in advanced degrees. So that correlation is probably going to lead to at some point, I don't know when, I don't know like how to predict the statistical analysis of it, but at some point there is a chance to where on average black women could make more money than black men, as I said, because the trend, I think it goes back as far as the 1960s. The gap continues to get more and more narrow between the two.
I'm trying to find the article I had. I don't know if I sent it to you with the numbers in a study in 1980 saying that I believe 13% of wives was making more money than their husband, and now it's 29%.
I think it's 38%.
Yeah, and then there was another stat that was like half of all management positions in certain types of CEO positions are now women. And
correct.
You know that those are numbers that traditionally baffle researchers, and it looks to be that sisters are just flat out gaining really quickly. Certainly not fast enough given the amount of skills they have compared to, you know, what's out there to compete with. But sisters are certainly making strides. I mean, African American women did become like the largest, fastest growing group of entrepreneurs and educated people in America. I think that was in 2018. I saw the stat. Correct. So, you know, let's be honest, short of soft skills, which there's not much data on, women got the skills. They should be put in the positions to earn the money they want. So, it certainly seems that the stats are true, man. Sisters are certainly coming up in the world with these salaries.
Yes.
One of the articles said, does that hamper the chances of a marriage's success? And I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be in that situation because I ain't married. But
I have read articles to where it has the chances of divorce are higher amongst couples where women make more money than a considerable amount more money than their husbands do. And in the same article, it said that the couples that tend to have the lower divorce rate are couples to where there is a similar, like a very close range of, you know, both people bringing just about the same amount of money.
Right.
That seems to be the best combination for marriage, but the worst combination is when women make a considerable higher amount than men do. So
Yeah, I mean it's kind of tough, but it does happen. On that article, there's an article in the BBC that looked at the European Union and the countries and their marital rates, and they were trying to track the divorce rates and try to see how finances were impacting those. And they were saying in Sweden, which has like the best gender equality metric in the European Union, it's like the women there are finding that okay, as long as they got the money and the spouses can kind of work out the parent sharing agreement, they're finding that a lot of people are just they're only marrying for happiness. It's not out of religious obligation. It's not out of financial need. It's literally just, well, am I having a good time with this person? Do I love this person? And if we should happen to fall out of love or stop having fun, we just get divorced. And there's no qualms about it because we can both afford to take care of the children. And so, these are certainly change societally different norms we're discussing. Because Lord knows in the 80s, this wasn't the question. But I do know it was large part due to, employment opportunities for women. So, uh, stats don't lie, man.
yes.
Stats ain't lying. Uh,
Um, one thing that I would say that I don't know, I don't want to say it's discouraging, but one thing that we do have to pay attention to is that right now a growing number of college educated both black men and black women,
mhm.
the correlation is that almost like the more education, the less likely they are to get married.
I saw that article. It was in like Sister to Sister magazine or something like that. This was like in like 2010, 2007, somewhere around like that 3 year range. What we're showing that a lot of women, the more and more degrees and certification and skills they acquired, the marriage rate was going down because they didn't want to marry a person that was perceived to make less money than them. But
Yes.
you want to know what's weird? According to this Institute of Family Science article, they still prefer to marry higher. And
Correct.
let me get the specific statements. But women with advanced degrees still want to marry men that make more money than them. The trend is still going, but men are still being less educated than them and still making more money than them. So that kind of made me think about that article in Sister to Sister, where okay, are the women not finding their ideal mate because they're narrowing their choice selection? Because if you get a blue collar guy, say like George Jefferson, and the Jeffersons, he just owned the dry cleaners. He was a businessman. Are we frowning upon these guys with these blue collar jobs that are business owners that are making really good money because it doesn't have a certain amount of prestige? I mean, these are questions I wish we had people on the show to answer, but I don't know any people to ask that question to. But I don't know. Like my dad was certainly a blue collar dude that was doing better than the group he was a part of in the 80s. And, my mom did have more education than he did in terms of skills. So it worked out for them. But what are we to tell people now? Are you aware of this like huge viral sensation? This style consultant, it's Kevin Samuels that's on YouTube, and he like
I've,
sparked.
I've I've heard about him. Like I haven't like listened to any of his content or anything, but
Yeah,
I've heard, especially in the last month or so, I
yeah,
guess
he's like been
becoming more
like
and more
everywhere.
popular. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it seems like he's been everywhere. I caught that viral video that he had. Dre, was that back in like November or something like that? December? The viral clip with the Kevin Samuels guy. Yeah. Well, in the video, he was giving this lady advice on what to do in terms of finding the type of mate she wants. And he was looked like he was giving like some stats and stuff, and she didn't like the information he was giving her, and it went viral because people thought he was being mean to her. And so just the raw data, she wanted a guy that made more money than her, and she made six figures as a business owner, right? And she said she wanted somebody that made more money than her, but also had like a amount of social capital outside of his salary that she could respect. And it just drew a firestorm to that guy's YouTube page because people were chiming in and saying, why can't she have the man that makes more money than her? And according to this study, saying you might be able to find that because the trend still suggests that you can still marry a guy that makes more money than you. But that article's research saying he might have to be a blue collar guy. Are you okay with that? Like he's going to have less formal education than you. So in terms of the Kamala Harris question that sparked this whole episode, maybe her husband makes more than her. I don't know. Haven't done much research into it. But we certainly know he doesn't have more social capital than her being the vice president of America.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, he can't compete with that. There's nothing he's ever going to do that's going to top that. She's the first person to ever do it. She's going to forever hold that record. There's nothing he can do. So we're seeing the trend all over the place where sisters is just achieving in traditional education formats that men are just slowly kind of falling behind on that, especially black men. So those are the stats. That's the data. The second segment we want to give to that is how are men supposed to feel about that? Let me see if I can edit this. Nope, can't edit that. All right. Yeah, we'll just go into it. How are brothers supposed to feel about that? Yeah, Wally says Kevin is the truth. So I'm guessing Wally is a fan of the Kevin Samuels show. He is one of my frat brothers, and I did check him out. The brother is really solid with his style game. So respect to him for that. Yeah. But how are men supposed to feel about this new paradigm shift? I'm seeing on YouTube, just YouTube, there's a lot of brothers that you're gonna have to nut up or shut up, and it's a new world. So how are men supposed to deal with this new dynamic? I know me personally, I've dated some people that more educated than I am. Some of them have made more money than I do. But it never registered to me that it mattered. And I didn't place a lot of my self-worth into my salary. Because Lord knows, just be a real sad brother based on that metric. But I do know it means a lot in the world. So what do you think men should be thinking about this new dynamic?
I'm gonna speak from my personal situation. My wife is more educated than I am.
Okay.
I think she has dual bachelor degrees and she has a master's degree.
Okay.
So my wife is more educated than I am. As far as she has a job and then she's also an entrepreneur where she's building her own business around her passion, which is basketball. And as far as how I feel about it, God bless her. I hope that she really realizes every one of her dreams. I'm here to support and encourage her along the way.
Yeah.
So it's just my personal situation where I'm at right now. Okay. What I feel like, man, if your wife is going to go, or your significant other is going to go out on the road and work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let your, you know, don't let your and
Well,
hinder what they're able to go out and accomplish.
you faded.
If they're gonna leave the house and work, for 40, 60 hours, let them get the absolute most out of those 40, 60 hours because
Okay.
they still away from the house. So
Okay. How were you able to come to that conclusion? Like, I guess again, I'm not married. I ain't even in a relationship, so I don't.
I mean, because one, I think that if you're going to work, what am I going to tell you to go work, but don't like don't be that good at your job? Like, no, if you're gonna go work,
Suck. Go
max,
suck.
ma- go maximize your potential and go realize your dream. I think that's what supportive, encouraging people do. They don't want you to turn down, on my
Opportunities.
account. I will never want that to happen. And and what I'm secure in what I do and what I'm able to provide. So there's no slack in that. So
Is it based on money though? Because I listened to some YouTube videos trying to do some research and prepping for this, and a lot of the guys were calling in to these different types of shows, these groups where men discuss certain things or whatever, and a few of the guys were saying, my wife's a millionaire, she brings in millions of dollars a year. I'm not a slouch. I bring in 5 figures or 6 figures, but I'm not a millionaire. And this one guy, he was like, I got respect at my job. I'm a business owner and all this different stuff that could present confidence to people traditionally. He's like, I can't place value in my salary because my wife is just kicking my behind. And he was like, before me, she was dating a billionaire. So he was like, I would be foolish to rely on just my salary as my sole source of self worth and security, right? And there was another guy, these just different guys. Another guy was saying, once he completes his degree in a year from now, or at the time of the video, he would make more money than his wife, but he's struggling to maintain his self worth in the time that it's going to take him to get the degree. He's like, he really feels like his wife is going to leave him. She's, attractive, and she's doing the financial thing really well. So, he's asking the guy, how does he deal with that? And I know we're
I
getting
mean,
into
from
some
from my
soft skills.
perspective, it's not based on money. It's just a
Yeah,
pragmatic approach.
right.
If I wanted a situation to where I felt like I always needed to make more money than my wife or whatever, I would be in a situation to where I would be the only person who worked, and I would be in a situation to where I would be like, all right, um, stay at home because I can't say, all right, you know, go get an income, but just make sure that you
It's
don't
less than yours.
surpass X. I'm saying like, nah, that to me that doesn't make sense. I mean, and I mean to be upfront with it, right at this point, yes, I'm still the breadwinner.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm not in the position to where, but I think, as I said, if it ever got to that point to where it was worse, I think I would definitely be comfortable with it because I know one that she's doing her thing, and then two, I know, man, we really doing well.
The whole
So I
crib straight.
mean, yeah, we real straight now, right now.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying so. So yeah, so I think that it wouldn't be anything I would be opposed to,
yeah.
as I said, and I want to see her at her absolute best.
Now
And
let me
I
ask
and
this,
I know and I know kind of
because I know you and me specifically can't speak to it. We can just look over data and read what the trends and the authors of the research say. Brothers are still relying on that traditional sense of breadwinnership for their self worth here in America, and that's why we saw the little groundswell with the Trump supporters being black men. That's a major talking point for some of the political pundits that work specifically with black men here in Georgia. And it's because a lot of guys still want to be that guy. They still want to be the breadwinner at the crib. And according to that Kevin Samuels video, a lot of women still want men to be that guy in the relationship. Are we setting people up for failure for them to measure their self worth based on their salary? Or being the person that makes the most money in the relationship? Because, woo, that's a very fluid situation. And as we can see now, society's changing a little faster than it used to. That's still a good idea?
I think in some ways limiting it, and I think it all comes down to do with pride. It all comes down to do with pride and ego, and both pride and ego are two things that can limit people from in situations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is an example of it. Is that if you are in a situation to where you're like, I don't want to be with somebody who makes over a certain amount of money, you're limiting yourself. You're limiting the opportunities. You're limiting things, resources that your family can that will benefit not just your immediate family, but generations down the line. And if you're
True.
somebody who wants to best position your family, for future growth and future wealth building or whatever, I think you owe it to them to put everybody in the absolute best position.
So
I
I,
listen to Dave Ramsey from time to time, and he says it every once in a while. He's saying if you and your wife have money problems, you don't have a money problem, you have a marriage problem. And so I think people have to be on the same page when it comes to what's expected from each other in a marriage. And I think that will help eliminate or help, soothe some of these problems that might be facing. Because yes, and I read a book, His Need, Her Needs, where it talks about, the different things that men traditionally need versus the thing that women traditionally need in marriage.
mm-hmm.
And there are different factors. And one of the needs that women need are, they want to feel secure financially from their men. And so, but each couple is different. You have to sit down and kind of prioritize what your needs are and be on the same page and be realistic about your situations. I think once that happens, then you can, if people are on that same page and communicating, I think that no matter, what somebody's doing, as long as you have an agreement within your household of what you guys feel is best and you work that, I think that's a recipe for success. So,
Man, nobody trying to holler at, man. I just want to be a stay-at-home wife, pretending here, by the way. I just want my husband to bring home enough money for me to live the exact lifestyle I've been dreaming about as a kid. Never mind the fact that I just got a bachelor's degree. I just want to live the life I want to live based on social media, music, movies, TV. How do we reconcile that? Are we just telling people maybe they need to tailor their expectations to this new gender dynamic?
I mean, people can go after whatever life they want. If that's what they want, they have to align themselves with that life. But they can't be married to somebody for 10 years and he's been holding it down for 10 years, and then all of a sudden, 10 years in, you want to flip the script and act like this brother gotta, double, triple his income in the next year, or you're gonna be out. Like, no, that's not realistic. But if you're just say that the woman is single and she's like, I'm only going to get married to a guy if he can provide me with this kind of lifestyle. Even though as unrealistic as it may be, she has the right to pursue those type of men.
Hey, let's see what Drell's saying. Says he believes men need to improve their domestic skills like cooking, cleaning, etc. Because we're being asked to do more around the house since two income households becoming more of a norm. He believes you are setting yourself up for potential failure, judging yourself for making more money than your potential counterpart. However, the goals never hurt anyone. If that matters to you, then put the work in. All right, so this seems to be like a general consensus. You can want what you want, but if you ain't putting the work in, don't
Yeah.
be surprised at the results. Uh,
Yeah. And what Drill's saying is right. I'm in a position to where I've worked from home for the last 3 years. So when I say I work from home, that means I do not have an office to go to. So unless I'm traveling, on the road traveling, I am always working from here. So just being in that position alone, it almost forces me to take on more of a role of a domestic role with things in the house. Whether that be, getting the boys ready for school in the morning, walking them to the bus stop, picking them up from the bus stop. Every once in a while having dinner ready and stuff like that or whatever. But that's something that, we discuss, and those are kind of roles that we decipher amongst each other. So yes, so just the nature of me being home all day, every day, I'm going to take on a little bit more of those domestic responsibilities.
yeah.
So it is a changing dynamic that a lot of people have to adjust to, and they have to work out with their partner of what the not the traditional roles, but what roles work for for your particular family.
Let
So
me ask this. Let me put a different spin on the same convo. If we're talking about, it's pretty much a slippery slope to base your self worth on your income as a man. Should we start promoting alternative value systems? I ain't gonna say alternative because that sounds a little weird. Should we give more options in the value system? Like I know some Christian teachers like Miles Monroe and even the book you read, because I think me and you talked about that book briefly, how in his situation he was a world renowned Christian teacher and public speaker, and he was world renowned, but his wife was like an engineer for the government, and he was like, man, I've never been able to out earn my wife in terms of money. And as a young man, it used to bother him, but he was like, you're never going to be able to do what she's doing because one, she had the education she has, and two, his wife wasn't looking to him to make more money. She was with him because of his worldview and his leadership in the church, and she came to respect him for that. And it got to the point that it become such a big name and such a success that she just quit her job. And but at no point in their relationship did he ever make more money than her, right? And so he was saying, it's foolish for men to base their worth on their income because since the Second World War, women have been in the workplace working in warehouses when men were off to fight. And that trend just kind of kept going with more and more and more, professional skills acquisition, that it was foolish from that point to think that you should base your value on your salary as a man, because women entered the workplace, and that was in the 40s. And we're seeing now in 2020, sisters is kicking butt, just in terms of education and skill. Is that something we should be promoting in our group, in our community? Should we tell men that you need to look to a different rubric for your position in a relationship? Because the Bible says men that operate in a certain way, they are to be the decision makers for the household. Never talks about specifically about income.
I got you.
You know
I
what I mean?
think it's all about maximizing your contributions to your family. And if you are a married man, if there are several ways to contribute to your household and to your family, and historically, what you provide financially has always been paramount,
Right.
but there are still other ways to, for you to provide for your household. And I think that one, it has to be something that the husband and the wife are aligned on. I think that's the main thing, is that, and that's one of the things that I read in the article, is that as long as men feel like they're respected by
Mm-hmm.
their wives,
Mm-hmm.
or or the wife didn't make it an issue between them, or use it as a way to cause division of it.
Yeah,
Men
weaponize it.
were
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't weaponized.
Yeah, as long as it wasn't weaponized, men were more comfortable with the situation as long as they felt like they were getting their due respect, or as long as they felt like, it wasn't a thing to where, the wife kind of rubbed it in their face. I did read that in one of the articles as well, to where I think I don't know if it was an article that you shared, but I was reading something to where a wife made more money than the husband, and the children would go to the wife first and ask them for something, and
Hmm.
if she would say no, they would go to the dad. And when they said, "Oh, I'm going to dad," she would like look at him and be like, "For what?" Like so, like to kind of devalue
Yeah,
the father
that's a bad.
in
That's a
in front of the in,
non-example. Yeah,
in front of the children or whatever.
worst practices
So
situation.
I'm sorry.
That's a worst practices example. Like it's the worst
Yeah.
thing you can do.
So in that situation, clearly, the husband and wife weren't on the same page or
Hmm.
whatever. And so I think that, to answer your question, is that if a husband does find himself in a situation to where he may not be the primary breadwinner, is that he has to find a myriad of other ways where he can be a major contribution to his family. And I think that that's what people should take pride in the most, is how are they able to move their family forward. And unfortunately for men, one of the only ways we see that is how we can contribute to our household financially. So
Let's say we looked at like just some historical perspectives on it. Uh, Up until I'll say maybe 10 years ago, just about. We've been living in a society where it was relatively expected for a man to be a stunted individual when it comes to personal development. Like it was basically just the money and the strength. And that's what you provided. That's what you were good at. Nothing else mattered about you as a man, right? We get that from the inception of TV. A lot of cultures, just beat up other men and make more money. And, you didn't need soft skills. You need to know how to talk to your wives and children so that they felt nurtured and grew. And that's all you were expected to do. And so that's what the world has kind of basically been doing the whole time. And now we're starting to see these soft skills be placed more and more at the forefront of the development of people, except for in schools, but whatever. It's another conversation. And there's these pushes for therapy for mental and emotional health. And, people are starting to demand they be treated differently despite a man might be the person that makes more money. So are we really starting to see that, okay, man, even if you do have the money in the family, women don't want to be talked to a certain way, or, your kids are not becoming the best person they could be because you don't communicate or you're emotionally stunted, or is the world just changing? Is this a better thing?
I definitely think that the roles are changing, and it's up to us to kind of evolve and get better, by not just saying, "Hey, I'm the man. I make all the money or whatever, so everybody do what I say." I do think it requires a different type of leadership, of being more in tune with your wife, being more in tune with your children,
Mm-hmm.
and developing, like you say, those soft skills, or those interpersonal skills, to where you can relate better and better communicate with your family. So I do think that it is calling for us to be more than just the people who provide the finances. So and I think it makes better men, and I think it creates better families. So
Well, I know personally, my upbringing was such that you had to be more than a joker that just made money. So education was really important in my household. Uh, relationship with God was second. Well, first, and the education was second. And you did have to have skills at a certain point that you can make money. So, a lot of that stuff was imparted in my family, and maybe that's why I didn't turn out to be one of the guys that's just scared about the amount of money he makes. Now, sometimes I do have to readjust my thinking because I'm just inundated with information and experiences that kind of try to push you into this secular way of thinking about money. But I thank God I didn't place that much value on it, though I had the parents that I did. So I could certainly attest to, I'm all right. I've had girlfriends that made more money than me. You know, that wasn't the kicker, so to speak. So
Yeah.
I think men specifically, especially that the Kamala Harris comment about, what would it be like to be a man married to somebody that successful, like
Yes.
who's you just can't out succeed her. I mean, uh, how do you be a man after that? And I always thought I was like, man, that's like the worst possible thing you can evaluate yourself on, because that's a completely fluid situation. I
Yeah.
mean, and there's
And I mean, and to give some historical, I grew up in a two-parent household that and both my parents worked.
Mhm.
My mom, she worked, as an educator, did night school. So I saw both my parents grind. But probably what sticks out more to me is that as I was involved in different sports and different activities, my parents were always there, like showed up to everything,
right,
everything.
right,
Like my dad went on field trips. A couple weeks ago when I talked about the trip to Salt Lake City to play in that tournament, my dad was there. And so honestly, my parents being there and being supportive and showing up for all those things, that has a bearing has just as big a bearing on me as my parents
right,
providing everything for me.
right.
And
Uh,
so I grew up in a situation to where, I could always depend on that support and encouragement and them showing up for me. And, we were definitely comfortable financially, but as I said, that support and encouragement and looking in the stands and always seeing a familiar face
mhm.
and, that that's important too. So I think that, if I'm talking about, you know, my father, that, as I said, him being there for me, that's as that's as big as anything. And so
Right,
I definitely want to give my kids that balance too, to where they're comfortable, but I also want to be there for them and support them and encourage them and and make sure that they have somebody that's in their corner at all times. So
true. No, that Harv T. Eker book you gave me about a millionaire mind.
yes.
One quote that stuck out to me quite a bit was he would always get approached by people saying, well, what about finding love? Why do you treat money like it's more important than finding love, right? And not even, just romantic love, but let's familial love, that those types of bonds. He had this really great quote, and he was like, well, love is like your left arm, and financial freedom is like your right arm. You telling me you're going to choose which arm to cut off, or wouldn't it be better to have both? And to that end, we need to spend more time promoting, because there's some data out there. Even if you are bringing in the bread, even if you are the breadwinner, it's not going to replace the love that emotional support brings. I mean, like you saying, being there for your kids' endeavors or your wife or your spouse's endeavors, supporting them emotionally. You can't write a check on that. Like, you can't buy your way out of that. It's always gonna be a temporary thing. You can buy them a gift to say you apologize, but if you keep being absent in the emotional endeavors, you're gonna still have a problem. So, man, I do think it serves well to not place all your self worth on your salary because that always changes. I mean, you need to have a self worth system that's based on something other than money. And you
Yes.
and your spouse definitely need to have a system in place where you guys have an open line of communication that's healthy, that talks about when financial situations change. Because let's look at Barack Obama. At one point, Michelle Obama was the OG
Yes.
doing all the
She was
things.
this superior in
Like
the
all throughout, like all the way till he got the Senate.
yeah.
And we know he was only in Senate one term and then became the
Yeah.
president.
And she kind of laughed about it. She was like, "Man, he want to do this community service work." She was
Nope.
like,
Like in her becoming book, she talks about how it went from her being this go getter, this hustler in the legal world to
"Yes,
dang, I'm a stay at home mom now. And she was like, that was an adjustment period for her. It wasn't
yes,
a comfortable situation, but she went from being out here doing the thing to, oh man, like I got to readjust. And so even for women, that happens. So maybe we should have titled this show "The Follies of Professional and Economic Success Dictating Your Self Worth." Guess we can do that another time, but
yeah." But I definitely think it's important for what you should be measured on is the impact that you're making inside your family,
right.
and are you moving everybody forward? And it would be I guess nice to see that transformation. And that's one thing I give a credit to a lot of the guys that me and you are surrounded by,
Mm-hmm.
or we know that in common, are they're taking care of business, in both the professional world, but they're also
Yep.
taking care of their families.
Very, very,
and
very
and,
great support systems.
and
Uh,
so it's that's a beautiful thing to see, is when you're holding down both aspects of life, taking care of business professionally, but also taking care of business for your family.
right on, right on. Uh, yeah, just making a lot of money ain't everything a relationship requires. So
Yes.
yeah, but we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks to the family for joining. We always count on you guys. We appreciate you guys for being steadfast with us. Uh, to the listeners that will hear this after the show, uh, thank you for joining in. Thank you for continuing to listen. To the people that aren't on Facebook or any of the the social media websites where the page is up and we have that, but continue to listen and engage with Pledge and I offline. And we appreciate that because that's always encouraging to know that people are listening. And share, like, and subscribe if you think what we're doing is useful. If you think what we're doing is entertaining. If you think what we're doing matters enough that other people should hear it. So you're gonna be signing off and enjoy your Sunday afternoon. Good luck to the people in Tampa. Hopefully, y'all don't have a bunch of super spreader events because I'm seeing online these NFL experiences, boy. Ooh, them crowds are big. Kind of looking like
Yeah.
Atlanta down there.
Yeah, I will be staying away, so
Yeah, man. Be safe, everybody.
for sure. Peace. God bless.